G'day folks, and welcome to this progress report from Crossing the Line Aachen 1944 by VUCA Simulations. I've been playing this in bits and pieces over the past week or so. It's a really good game. You can just walk away, come back, and then make the initiative die roll and pick up from where you were. Here is the situation at the end of turn 3. So I've had 3 operations phases, and yeah, this is the situation. Basically, the story is that First Division, which kind of starts around here, broke through the West Wall and then shifted south on the outskirts of Aachen and kind of drove through this clear area here, pushed the Germans away from the clear terrain, through the lightly wooded areas, and kind of ended up around this area, I think it was around at the end of turn 2. Meanwhile, the 3rd Armour Division, which starts back here, shifted around to the south. They crossed the West Wall here. Kind of a slow start for them, but they managed to push through again this open terrain, this clear terrain around here, push through these 2 kind of light villages, link up with the 1st Division around this area here. So around Brand and Freund, they linked up. And what you've basically got here is, I think they started around here, and then on turn 3, this turn I've just finished, they've effectively got 7 formation activation points each for a total of 14 in this area, compared to the Germans. And well, the most they had, oh, actually I'd lie, the 9th Panzer Division had, I think, 7 formation activation points, but they were kind of scattered out. What this basically means is that the 1st Division can work with the 3rd Division in kind of alternating activations to push through this area. You can just see the clear area. The Americans have really taken advantage of the clear terrain, and it's very beneficial columns on the combat results table. So all you need, 2 to 1 in the clear gives you, very beneficial. If you've got a prepared attack with armor superiority in the clear, you're very likely to score a 0-3 result and an efficiency check by the defenders. So, bringing this 3rd Division armour into this combat, focusing on the Germans in the clear terrain, they managed to create, initially, a bit of a gap, a bulge through here. It wasn't a gap, it was a bulge, because the Germans are kind of responding as needed. A bulge in the line through here. And gradually, they've kind of widened that, so you do have some elements of that 526 Division defending here, some out of command units up here. These are Germans, but the 3rd Armoured, and we had a run where the Americans had, I think, 3 or 4 activations in a row, and the Germans just couldn't react. They couldn't seize the initiative, and that was a critical point in this 3rd turn when 3rd Armoured broke through. When I say broke through, it was a breakthrough. There were big gaps in the line, but they were very careful. They had to protect their flanks. You can't just rush through and leave your units way out here, because on a couple of occasions the Germans counterattacked and threatened those American supplies. So they've been advancing cautiously with the 1st Division protecting the flanks. So you can see the 1st Division infantry. This is US 1st Infantry Division protecting the flanks along the left and along the right here. These are their new engineer units that have recently arrived. Whilst the 3rd Armoured have really been trying to spearhead and stretch the German lines. So they were trying to push through a very narrow corridor as far east as possible, bypassing Aachen, bypassing the north side of the West Wall. And what the effect this was having was just stretching the German lines. They, again, targeting as much as possible the Germans in clear hexes, in clear terrain, pushing that German line back, stretching the German flanks. Once they'd kind of reached this point, 3rd Armoured, this is where they kind of ended up. 3rd Armoured then kind of shifted to broadening that front. Now, there are still some gaps. You can see this big gap through the middle here where 3rd Armoured could pour through here and make this attack on Manadorf, but they're vulnerable in the flank. So what we're doing now, just at the end of this, this 3rd turn, 1st Division are trying to catch up. You can see some infantry way up here. The Germans, they weren't pushed back from this area. They voluntarily pulled back because it looked for a while like 3rd Division might just swing north and pinch them in this corridor between the West Wall, between Kolscheid and Versalin, which the Americans have captured. They waltz in there unopposed. Um, the other factor here is that we have American reinforcements arriving from the north. So we have units coming in from Heilust around here. They'll be driving through here. Oh, geez, don't want to do that. They'll be driving through there, and there'll be another group arriving over in Schöpfelsing, Jugelshoven, over in the right. So yeah, these areas here. So two new divisions. We've got the 2nd Armoured Division coming in here, and the 30th Infantry Division coming in from the right. So there's an opportunity here for the Americans to pinch. And so the 526 Volksgrenadier Division have started to voluntarily pull back from, they were holding this position here. They've pulled back to Aachen. They then need to pull back even further, just worried about being cut off in this area. They may even sacrifice, you can see some Americans on the outskirts of Aachen here, they may even sacrifice Aachen just to survive with that formation. Now the Germans don't know what victory objectives the Americans have drawn, but I can tell you that the Americans have drawn 2 dummy counters thus far. So they don't have an objective yet. They're really just focusing on trying to undermine the German defences, looking for weaknesses in the line. They're avoiding attacks on, as much as possible, pillbox, fortified areas, city terrain, all these kind of things that limit their armour, that provide defender AT bonuses, things like this. They're focusing overwhelmingly on clear terrain and just advancing and stretching that German line, and it's been very successful. In particular, we saw the 9th Division. So you can see the 9th Division now up here. They were split in two. We had some elements, in fact, I think we still have. Yep, here's some 9th Panzer Division elements down here. They were cut off. There were more, I think, up here as well. The headquarters was smack in the middle, which is now up here. So they've kind of put most of the units back in communication, but the 9th Division have just pulled right back. 9th Panzer Division have pulled right back and are kind of acting as a reserve there, whilst the infantry hold the flanks. The same thing happened to the 246th Volksgrenadier Division. No, not the 246, my apologies. It was the 12th Volksgrenadier Division, this formation here. They were split in two. So you can see here's the headquarters down here. They've been pushed back, but they also have elements still up in the north here, out of command. They're not isolated. They can draw a line of communication, but yeah, they're in trouble. What this means is that it costs them 2 action points to do anything, and they're limited in what they can do. I think they can only do a hasty attack or a move action. So this splitting of the German forces that came right down the middle, 3rd Armoured, split the Germans in two unexpectedly, and yeah, the Germans had 2 divisions split in half, and they just couldn't get the activations to respond. They couldn't react, or failed to react, and then they couldn't seize the initiative, and the Americans were just rolling through this kind of area. And then, as I said, towards the end of the turn, they've started to broaden that gap. They've sort of stopped their advance around here, waiting for the infantry to catch up. But what will probably happen next, looking at the situation, I'll probably push some of the 1st Infantry to protect this flank and shift the 3rd Armoured back up to the north to link up with the 2nd Armoured coming through here. 2nd Armoured Division will be driving straight down here. I anticipate they'll hit this weaker point in the line, and there's only sort of 5 hexes in this area. There's a lot of Germans in this area that need to think carefully about their defensive positions. The Germans, knowing this is happening, will probably want to pull back. So I anticipate the first couple of activations of turn 4 are going to be very important. Down in the south, of course, we've got the 9th Infantry Division just protecting the flanks, not doing a great deal here. Likewise, the Germans just trying to hold as best they can. So a lot of the Germans' forces kind of being rerouted around. This is the 246th Volksgrenadier Division. They recently arrived and they were smashed. They tried to hold a line in the centre here, and they were called them as a fresh, full, healthy division. They bore the brunt of that American Third Armoured Drive, and have already lost quite a few units eliminated as a result of just being in a bad place and not being able. They have a maximum of 5 formation activations. They just weren't able to dig in time. This breakthrough was really unexpected. I was kind of throwing Germans in with low activations, so they couldn't dig in. And this is the result. So I will point out, and it's hard. It looks really good from the German perspective, from the American perspective, but they have suffered some losses. Okay, not many infantry. So you can see here a couple of tank losses, 3 tank losses, 1 tank loss there. So they have lost quite a lot of armor, 2 losses there, and 1 loss there. So they have lost some armor. Third Armored Division have lost some armor. They will get some back. So the advance has come at a cost. I'll point that out. So folks, heading into the 4th term, we've got the admin phase first, reinforcements, and then some very critical opening initiative die rolls for turn 4. Interesting to see what happens. You can see these are Germans are not dug in. They are in clear terrain. That's in clear terrain. They're in a small village. This is looking scary from the German perspective. I'll point out as well the 116th Panzer Division gone. They were isolated and smashed, wore down. Whew, lots happening in this game, folks. That's Crossing the Line, Aachen 1944. More to come. Stay tuned, and I'll report back soon. Thanks all.